Viewers, good evening. The Hindenburg report, touted as some monumental expose, has been revealed to be a house of cards. If you wonder why am I saying this, viewers, the staggering 413-word disclaimer, I'm holding one in my hand, buried within its page, lays bare the shallow and hollow nature of its claims. It's a stark warning to those who've been treating this report as gospel. They must tread with caution, because behind the veneer of sensationalism and clickbait headlines, the report's own disclaimer reveals a tangled web of assumptions, speculations, and outright uncertainty. You could call it a hatchet job, masquerading as rigorous research designed to mislead people and investors alike. The disclaimer's fine print reveals a laundry list of caveats, including lack of concrete evidence, reliance on unverified sources, speculative conclusions, potential biases, and conflicts of interest. But despite these glaring weaknesses, viewers, the report has been treated as incontrovertible truth. It's time to separate fact from fiction and to approach this report with the skepticism it deserves. Now, in the world of high-stakes investing, viewers, misinformation can have devastating consequences. It's imperative that we approach such reports with a critical eye and not allow sensationalism or politics to cloud our judgment. But despite what you've seen, the politics is raging. We'll come to the political reactions in just a bit, but I want you to take you through what we are talking about. The 413-page disclaimer that I just told you. Look at what is on your screen. The disclaimer: report on opinion and investigative commentary. What does it mean? No evidence provided, just opinions offered. Let's look at the next pointer in the disclaimer. The disclaimer says, use Hindenburg Research's research at own risk. I want to read it again. Use the Hindenburg Research's research at your own risk. It simply means that due diligence is needed before relying on report. The disclaimer says we intend to continue transacting in securities covered. Viewers, this means that Hindenburg has vested interest in Adani stocks falling. Now, many would argue this point. We can have that debate later. The next point in the disclaimer is no representation as to accuracy or timeliness. This means that information has been given without warranty of any kind. The disclaimer says all expressions of opinion are subject to change. I am not making this up. This is in the disclaimer, a copy of which is in my hand. What does it mean? Report cannot be relied on as undeniable truth. Let's look at the next one. The Hindenburg Research, not registered as investment advisor. The firm is not registered as investment advisor. It means its reports, not recommendations, just opinions, just like yours, just like mine. But despite all of this, there are several big questions that have been ignored, but not on this show. Short seller, short changing India, isn't this a fundamental question to ask? Let's look at the next big question. Whose conflict of interest is it? Who does it suit? Who benefits from Hindenburg 2.0? Does disclaimer discredit report? I leave it to you. Investors divested from the charges. You've seen how the markets ended. Let's sample the political reactions and then we open this up.
Over the last few years, larger and larger numbers of people have been investing in India's stock market. They invest their hard-earned, honestly earned savings in the stock market. And it is my duty as leader of the opposition to bring to your notice that there is a significant risk in the Indian stock market because the institution that governs the stock market is compromised.
In their pathological hatred against Narendra Modi ji, led by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and his friends, toolkit gangs, Congress party today has developed a hatred against India itself. अगर भारत का स्टॉक मार्केट गड़बड़ाएगा तो स्मॉल इन्वेस्टर्स परेशान होंगे कि नहीं?
This is an explosive allegation because it alleges that the umpire herself is compromised. The savings of millions of Indians, hard-earned, honestly earned savings, are at risk.
ये कांग्रेस ही हिंडनबर्ग के पीछे है और हिंडनबर्ग एक टूल किट है भारत को तबाह और बर्बाद करने वाले, और उसमें राहुल गांधी तमाम लोग लगे हुए हैं।
Why has Chairperson Madhabi Buch not resigned? Second, God forbid something were to go wrong and investors were to lose their money. Who is responsible? Is the Prime Minister of India responsible? Is Madhabi Buch responsible? Or is Mr. Adani responsible?
This is all trying to rattle and spook the stock market. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a panic in the stock market in advance. Actually, there is nothing. There is no new material against Adani. He is now attacking the regulator chairperson.
Let's open this up. Shehzad Poonawala, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Tushar Gupta, political analyst, Dr. Syed Hafiz, spokesperson of the DMK, Lokesh Jindal, political analyst, IP Singh, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, and Ravula Sridhar Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS, will be joining us soon. I want to begin by asking Lokesh Jindal of what he makes of the disclaimer. This 413-page disclaimer. Lokesh Jindal, this is like, saying whatever you want to say, and at the end of it, I didn't mean it.
Yes, good evening, Pranesh. In fact, there is an admissal by Madhabi Buch claiming that in 2015, she and her husband, they had invested in GDOF. And following this, via GDOF, IP plus Fund 1, that was the route via which there were certain investments made in the Indian stock markets, and that was one of which that is being investigated right now. So the whole point is, Madhabi Buch, she already knew that these funds are something which are in radar. Why didn't she rescue herself when the investigation was initiated? Question number one. Question number two, come on, Pranesh, even the members of parliament, they are required to give all information about their assets, about their wealth. Why not the chairperson of SEBI? It is a rule in judiciary that whenever an executive is executing a quasi-judicial function, and when SEBI is carrying out an investigation against the Adani firms, she should have rescued herself, that her own investments are there in one of the fund, and she should have not carried out the investigations. Now, this is a serious compromise, and for this, she ought to be responsible and answerable as well.
Okay, so the sum and substance of what you said, Shehzad, and you have to answer this. He's saying that why didn't she recuse herself? And now that her name is under scanner, she should resign for a fair investigation.
As far as disclosures are concerned, the same Rahul Gandhi who made a 2-minute video about the pitfalls of investing in the stock market actually made 46.5 lakh rupees from his own investments in the stock market over the last 5 months. How about disclosing that in your 2-minute video? Anyways, having said that, today, look at this orchestrated and well-organized hit job, which has been done by a discredited short seller whose modus operandi is basically to do short selling, to then make a report based on falsehoods and lies, and thereafter create a panic in the market and then profiteer from that. And by the way, it's not me who's saying this. The Supreme Court of India said that when it called out the Hindenburg Report number 1, and over and above that, it said that the SEBI probe actually inspired confidence. So unless you're saying that today these allegations are directed not just at the SEBI or at the Modi government or at any A or B company, but at the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice himself, I think you should reconsider what you're saying, because the Supreme Court also said that organizations like OCCRP and the petitioners who came using that report were basically just relying on half-baked reports. And that is what even the disclaimer of this Hindenburg report says. By the way, it's so much contradictory that on the one hand it says that these investments were made, on the other hand it says that the same investments actually led to a loss to Madhabi. But I don't want to go into those details, because those details are for Madhabi and her husband to answer, for SEBI to answer. But what are the larger issues that need to be looked at? This is the same Rahul Gandhi who said HAL doobne wala hai. What happened to HAL? This is the same Rahul Rahul Gandhi, you said LIC, SBI, barbad ho gaya. What happened to LIC, SBI? So now the politics has come down to chit and toolkit. There is every 6 months a new chit, and that chit is today on Hindenburg. I want to ask that when in July, Hindenburg was issued a notice, rather than ask Hindenburg a question that why do you provide fake reports and reports that you yourself don't want to rely on and do not answer to Indian authorities, and then instead of questioning them, you are in fact creating panic by using their very reports and trying to say that those are gospel truth. Point number one. Point number two, I want to ask you very clearly that if you think that all of this is aimed at Adani and Adani is a corrupt person, then why is it that Adani is getting contracts in Telangana? Why is it that Adani got contracts from Gehlot in Rajasthan? Why is it that Adani is the best friend with Mr. Sharad Pawar, who calls him for inaugurations everywhere? Why is it that Adani gets to invest in West Bengal? How is Adani's investment in Delhi corrupt, and in Bengal, in Telangana, all of them above board? So these questions need to be answered. This is just the Congress party in Modi Virod going down to the extent of creating economic Virod.
And the entire opposition. Let me bring in Dr. Hafiz. Dr. Hafiz, isn't it true that the OCCRP, which is funded by George Soros, and he said after the first Hindenburg report that this will significantly weaken Modi's stranglehold on India's federal government and open the door to push for much needed institutional reforms? Now, the charge on the opposition is that you're playing into hands of this ecosystem toolkit.
Absolutely no. If that is what we are intending to, then we have other ways. Just propagate and keep accusing and go. We want to take up responsibility. That is why we are demanding a JPC. Shehzad Poonawalla said that the Supreme Court gave a clean chit. The entire judgment, if you read, the Supreme Court has taken the credibility of the SEBI and said SEBI has investigated well. And in the same judgment, CJI has clearly also said if at any point of time we feel that prima facie this investigation is tainted, then we'll use our powers to form a SIT. So it has never given a complete clean chit to the investigation. The matter is still under doubt, and the Supreme Court, that is why clearly said, if we feel at any point of time it is tainted, we'll form a SIT or a CBI investigation. That is where it is standing. Now, I don't want to talk about the credibility. Soros is great. Let him be a criminal. I don't bother. Let Hindenburg be a criminal, I don't bother. Now the bigger point is, just because they have a history or they have accused of a criminal intent, you cannot waive off the charges. If there is a murder and someone comes gives a complaint and he's also a murderer, you cannot say he's a murderer, I cannot take his complaint seriously. That is not the case. We want a credible thing. All these allegations of destroying the market will go once the JPC comes in. The people who are accusing this system of SEBI and the chairperson will have a face. Let the Hindenburg be summoned. Let us grill them and say if you have said something wrong, we'll expose Hindenburg. That will bring credibility into the Indian system, and that will support the investors to invest in India. Let it not be like you have to win over the confidence of the investors globally. You need to make it foolproof. Go into the depth of the thing. The people who are accusing, let be the part of the investigation. Then Adani or anybody, let them come clean. Now the point is, we don't accuse Adani in general or anybody. We want investment. Let them come, let them invest. The point here is, just because they are investing in X state, Y state, that state, Z state, that doesn't mean all the things that they have done.
He was only pointing out, Shehzad was only pointing out the hypocrisy. Quick comment, then I'm coming to you, Tushar.
First of all, to inform you that Rahul Gandhi has said, one second, Mr. Hafiz, I did not interrupt you.
It is not hypocrisy.
Mr. Hafiz, I did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you. First of all, Rahul Gandhi in his official press conference for Congress Party has said that Adani is dealing with anti-national elements. His group is involved with shell companies and other money that is coming in through illegal means, and 20,000 crore rupees belongs to BJP. Therefore, he's a corrupt man. He said this, and you're saying we are not blaming Adani in general. One second. Let me just two very quick points. When the Supreme Court went through Rafale, Rahul Gandhi still said Rafale mein chori hui hai. Supreme Court went through Pegasus, you all still raised Pegasus. Supreme Court went through all the other issues that you have cited. You just said that it gave a clean chit and it in fact commended the SEBI for its investigation. But here you are characterizing the role of SEBI as biased or as not proper on the basis of a discredited Hindenburg. Do you make any sense?
Tushar, you know, the disclaimer, the devil lies in the detail, and detail in this case is this disclaimer. The kind of importance the opposition is attaching to to this report, even the Hindenburg is not making such a claim. Otherwise, they would not have put this disclaimer.
Good evening, Pranesh. Look at the irony of things. Around 9:30 on Saturday evening, Hindenburg puts out the report. In less than 90 minutes, Congress has a statement out. It took them 4 to 5 days to put out a statement on Hindus being attacked in Bangladesh, but just 90 minutes to put out a statement on Hindenburg. Number two, the Hindenburg, in its article or report, whatever you want to call it, said, we are not confirming anything. We are only hoping that our investigation leads to further questions. The Congress claimed it as the gospel truth. They predicted that the markets would react. They predicted that the SEBI is compromised. They predicted that the retail investors are going to lose money. Number two. Number three, why was the Congress, which has a lot of leaders, starting with Rahul Gandhi, with equities and mutual fund investments in the market, as declared in their affidavits in 2024 and before that, very driven by the idea of the stock market crashing and retail investors losing money. I don't want to speculate here, Pranesh, but is it possible that the leaders of the opposition, who are very joyous by the prospect of the market crashing, had actually taken a short position? We need to ask this question. We don't know. On Lokesh Jindal's point, I need to fact check him on 3 points. He said that the fund was invested in 2015. He doesn't say that when the SEBI chairperson joined the SEBI in 2017 in a different role, she liquidated all her investments. Number one. Fact check number two, the fund Lokesh Jindal talks about never had any holdings in Adani. Number two. Number three, the fund was discontinued in 2019, 3 years before this lady took over as the SEBI chairperson in 2022. So when Lokesh Jindal shamelessly lies again on national television, he must answer that last year in February, in August, he was saying that the LIC, the SBI, the Adani enterprises are going to take down the entire financial system. What happened to it? 15 months ago. 15 months ago, Pranesh, the same.
I'll come to you, Lokesh. Let him finish. I'll come to you for a counter. I'll come to you for a counter.
तुषार गुप्ता स्टूडियो में होता तो मैं समझाता आपको थोड़े मैनर्स तमीज से
Okay, let's not get personal. Let's not get personal. Gentlemen, please.
Don't threaten me, Lokesh.
No, let's not get personal here, please.
I don't take you seriously. Lokesh, don't threaten me. I don't take you
Dr.
seriously.
Hafiz, I'll come to you, sir. I'll come to you again for a response. Let him just make his point.
Lokesh, you're a liar. I'm not scared of you. Stop threatening
No, 1
me.
minute. Tushar, make your point.
Pranesh, the same people last year said that the public money is in danger because LIC might sink. You remember in February? They said that the SBI has exposure to Adani, so it might sink. Look at the fear-mongering they're indulging in. They want to spook the retail investors, people like you and me, who are putting their savings into the stock market. Why? The question is why?
This is blatant fear-mongering. Lokesh, a quick response. IP Singh ji, मैं आता हूँ आपके पास.
No, listen, Pranesh. Anil Ahuja, the person who was the chief investigating officer, it was stated that Anil Ahuja was a friend of Madhabi Buch's husband. And it is at the instance of Anil Ahuja that these investments were made. All I'm saying, Pranesh, is in 2020, when Madhabi Buch and she had all her investment in these IP fund one, which was under suspicion. At that point of time, she should have recused herself and she should have admitted that this fund was one where she had 5.5 crore of investment, and therefore she should not be leading the investigation against this fund. And it should have been given to some neutral agencies so that the investors' confidence could be retained.
Just one line.
Please, Pranesh,
let me bring in Dr. Saeed.
Just one line on this. Just one line.
He wanted to add something. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Let me bring him in, please.
Just one line.
You answer Lokesh and Dr. Saeed. I'm sure he'll have something for you also.
Please, Pranesh, one point.
No, Tushar, let Dr. Hafiz come in. Yeah. He wanted to speak when you were speaking. Let's first hear him out.
Exactly what we are saying, Pranesh. The bigger question is, let these allegations be false. But let the opposition be a part of the investigation agency. If we are wrong, a JPC will expose us. Why is that? Everybody is scared of the JPC.
Okay, why are you scared of the JPC?
Prove us wrong. Let us have a JPC.
Now let me answer both in one line. Yeah. Both in one line, and I hope there will not be any whataboutery by these two panelists of DMK and Congress. You believe in JPC, right, Mr. Hafiz? JPC report had indicted Manmohan Singh in the 93 scam. What action did you take on Manmohan Singh? You made him Prime Minister. So you yourselves don't consider JPC to be important. Otherwise, why would you make him Prime Minister? You would have sent this corrupt man to jail. You don't consider JPC to be important. Secondly, now don't interrupt me, most important point. You know, yesterday Priyanka Chaturvedi, who's an MP, she tweeted using a screenshot of the SEBI Twitter account saying that the account has been locked. It turns out even your LKFC, Lutyens ka fact checker, don't think anything else. Zubair had fact-checked this, that this account has been locked from a very long period of time. This is the kind of rubbish you all are peddling, including in the name of facts. You know one more fact that they peddled? They said that Adani's son is married to Madhabi's daughter. Madhabi doesn't have a daughter. The Buch couple don't have a daughter. They got the daughter which is not there married to Adani's son.
No, but Shahzad,
this is the lies that they spread as toolkit.
Even IP Singh will tell you that if you are so convinced that there is nothing wrong, why don't you order a JPC? Let's have that probe. IP Singh ji, JPC जांच होनी चाहिए. JPC जांच उनको बोलने दीजिए. नहीं, जवाब सवाल से पहले नहीं सवाल
आपने मुझसे पूछा है,
जवाब वो देंगे. IP सिंह जी, JPC जांच होनी चाहिए.
देखिए प्रमेश, समूचा विपक्ष यही चाहता है कि JPC जांच हो और जो सेबी की चीफ है वो इस्तीफा दें. और एक हिंदी में एक कहावत है कि सांच को आंच क्या. और सबसे अहम सवाल ये देखा जा रहा है कि जो प्रधानमंत्री बार बार ये कहते हैं ना खाऊंगा न खाने दूंगा, आखिर वो जांच से क्यों घबरा रहे हैं? DRI, ED, CBI क्या इस तरह के बड़े स्कैम की इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं कर सकती? और निश्चित तौर से सेबी सही मायने में कभी भी निवेशकों का न संरक्षक रही है न सहारा बनी है. यही सब कारण है कि सेबी प्रकरण में जो गहन जांच है वो होनी चाहिए.
IP सिंह जी सुनिए, IP सिंह जी, आपने ये हिंडनबर्ग का जो मैंने डिस्क्लेमर शुरू में पढ़ा प्रोग्राम के, वो उसमें सुना आपने या आपने खुद से भी पढ़ा होगा? उसमें ध्यान दिया आपने उन्होंने क्या कहा है?
सवाल हिंडनबर्ग रिपोर्ट से पहले मैं तो अडानी के तमाम शेयर्स के बारे में मुझसे पूछिए कि जब देश में सारे उद्योग धंधे बंद थे कोविड के दौरान तो उनकी संपत्ति बढ़ रही थी 200.
तो मुझे एक बात बता दीजिए, एक बार IP सिंह जी एक बात बता दीजिए, आप तो टीम इंडिया के पार्ट हैं. समाजवादी पार्टी तो बहुत ही प्रमुख मेंबर है टीम इंडिया की. आप क्यों नहीं कहते कांग्रेस से कि क्यों हाथ मिला रहे हो अडानी से तेलंगाना में? सवाल वही है. देखिए आपके पास इस सवाल का जवाब नहीं है. जब ये पूछा जाता है आपके पास कोई जवाब नहीं होता.
नहीं प्रमेश जी, अगर इस तरह की बातें करेंगे तो क्या ये तमाम तरह के मेहुल चौकसी और नीरव मोदी क्या प्रधानमंत्री आवास में बतावे बैठे हुए हैं बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता? क्या
लेकिन IP सिंह जी, आप किसी को एक समय पे गाली दे रहे हो, दूसरी जगह नहीं. देखिए ये इंडिया अलायंस का एक पैटर्न जैसा बनता जा रहा है, चाहे वो चुनाव हो, चाहे ये ऐसा कंट्रोवर्सी हो.
अरबों खरबों रुपए लेकर भाग गए. हमें अडानी पर.
अच्छा चलिए, आपने जो सवाल पूछा बीजेपी स्पोक्स पर्सन शहजाद पूनावाला, व्हाई शुडंट द सेबी चीफ रिजाइन फॉर अ फ्री एंड फेयर इन्वेस्टिगेशन?
ये बोलना बंद करे तब मैं बोल दूं.
क्या जवाब दीजिए उसका.
एक डिस्क्रेडिटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जिसके ऊपर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस की प्रोब चल रही है, जिस पर भारत में भी प्रोब चल रही है, जिसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसकी रिपोर्ट को नकार दिया और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेबी के काम को ठीक बताया, उसको इस्तीफा देना चाहिए इस आधे अधूरे एलिगेशन पर अरविंद केजरीवाल, जिस पर अभी तक रिलीफ नहीं आया किसी कोर्ट से, वो जेल से सरकार चलाएगा. Rahul Gandhi, एक सेकंड. Pranesh, let me complete. Pranesh, this is not what about it. Pranesh, one second. Pranesh, this is not what about it. Pranesh, one second. One second. Let me complete. As of today, Rahul Gandhi is on bail. He went to Supreme Court, got no relief, got no discharge, right? So Rahul Gandhi can continue as LOP, even though he's got no relief from Supreme Court. But a person who has no charges on her, no FIR on her, should step down. So I am saying apply the same standard and get Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Rahul Gandhi to step down. Set the pattern. I'm not doing whataboutery. I'm saying she will look at your pattern and then she can take a call.
Mr. Reddy,
you set the pattern.
Mr. Reddy, you haven't spoken so far, sir. How do you see this?
I can see.
Yes, sir.
Pranesh, more than the retail investor interest, for Congress and BJP, this is a political blame game. Who is dominating whom? End of the day, a foreign institution is repeatedly making allegations only against one corporate. And now this time they also have brought in the SEBI chief. And when you clearly say there is a conflict of interest, जिसके ऊपर आरोप लगा जा रहा है, they are answering. Why the finance ministry or the prime minister's office or anybody concerned is not answering? Just because it is a foreign institution or some apex court or some other institution has given them wrong sense or they are wrong or right, whatever it is. Here the ultimate issue must be the interest of the retail investors. What time, last time when the Hindenburg report has come out, lakhs of retail investors have lost their money. There was no protection. Now, directly on the SEBI chief, there are allegations. Today, Rahul Gandhi was asking whether Supreme Court will file a, take a suo moto case, or will she resign? There were many questions. But here in one case, as Poonawalla was asking, in Telangana, their chief minister, Revanth Reddy, welcomes the Adani with a red carpet. In many of the BJP ruling states also, any which way Adani is there.
Right,
So
I get that point. But on the larger point of protecting the interest of retail investors, let me bring in Tushar Gupta. Tushar, are the questions that are being raised by the opposition, are they valid or not? And why are they not valid?
I'll give you an example, Pranesh. Abhi, when Lokesh was replying to me, he made a point that in 2020, when the SEBI chairperson or to be SEBI chairperson was invested in the IP Plus fund, she should have recused herself. Lokesh doesn't know that the fund he's talking about being in 2019. ये basic facts तो पढ़कर नहीं आ रहे, Pranesh. The question of the retail investor, let me tell you, in February last year, when the report first came out, the retail investor, the market took a hit. But the recovery was seen almost immediately in all Adani enterprises, in LIC, in SBI, and every other company that was impacted. Today, Adani, LIC, SBI, or in the entire market as a whole, be it the BSE or the Nifty, they haven't even responded to the Hindenburg report that came out this weekend. Nothing at all. The Sensex has not even responded to it. The retail investor sitting there, the people sitting there, the institutional investor sitting there. So when you talk about the larger interest of the investors are making those decisions sitting in the market. And today we saw a testament to the resilience, to the confidence in SEBI, in the government, in the markets. So the Congress can keep harping on to its fake imaginary narrative devoid of any facts, as we know that the spokespersons are without the basic facts of the entire report. But the investors believe in the India growth story and they're backing the India growth story. It's that simple.
No, but demand for a JPC, like Dr. Syed Hafiz said, why is the government shying away from it?
No, demand on JPC for what, Pranesh? These are short sellers. They are saying that we are shorting the stock, we are shorting the stocks in the Indian market, we want to make a profit. So should we start now investigating companies on the behest of people who want to harm Indian interests, who want to harm retail investors? भैया कांग्रेस किसकी साइड पर है? शॉर्ट सेलर्स जो बाहर बैठे हैं, विदेश में बैठे हैं, या जो देश में बैठे इन्वेस्टर है? किसकी साइड है कांग्रेस? आज तो बता ही दे.
Let me bring in Dr. Hafiz once again. Dr. Hafiz, can the analogy of a hate job be dismissed completely, that this is a hate job by international hands? The reason I'm asking you, and please, indulge me, here are some hatchet jobs that was unleashed on India by the ecosystem, Dr. Hafiz. In 2022, the Vidam Institute released a ranking placing Pakistan and Taliban-ruled Afghanistan above India in the Academic Freedom Index. In 2008, Soros labeled India as the new colonialist. Can you believe it? And there are too many of other examples. But on the principle, can it be ruled out?
It could be, it could be, I agree, just for an argument's sake, yes, it is 100%. Let it be. My point is, when there are consistent allegations and a prima facie of quid pro quo, or there have been talks with the judge being an accused in the case, in such scenario, a fair probe is a natural justice. That is what we are asking for. We are not advocating Hindenburg. Let us not rely on what Hindenburg is saying. There is contradictory statement from various sources that no, she has invested in stock where she's very closely related to Ahuja, and Ahuja is an advisor in Adani's company on whom the allegations have come up. So in such a scenario, the fair job is good. And I really pity Shehzad Poonawalla to say Rahul Gandhi should resign, Arvind Kejriwal should resign. Please, you cannot compare a nominated SEBI chairman with a democratically elected chief minister.
No, why? No, different levels of
public propriety. And here they are not investigating their own case.
When it comes to propriety,
they are not investigating their own case. Please understand that.
Dr. Hafiz, when it comes to propriety, you can't have, a protected batch of netas. And then, another set in which you have the SEBI chiefs, the RBI governor, and, the others. But Shehzad, answer the larger question. Why are you shying away from a probe?
Let me, first of all, nobody is shying away from a probe. Let me reiterate the facts. The Supreme Court has upheld and has said that the entire investigation done by the SEBI, I'm quoting Supreme Court, conducted by SEBI into this issue inspires confidence and prima facie is comprehensive. This is not an allegation on the government. It is an allegation on Chandrachud and his court. Point number one. Point number two, Hindenburg is actually facing investigation not just here, but also in America, but you want to rely on it. But point number three, let me explain to the viewers what exactly they are saying. There is a person who, before she came to the SEBI, is a private individual, had investments like many of us have in mutual funds. She had in certain other funds. In that same fund, Adani may have or may not have invested. Now, if that is the standard, then Priyanka Chaturvedi's affidavit shows that she is invested in HDFC Midcap. They also invest in Adani. But that means Priyanka Chaturvedi is hand in glove with Adani or has a dealing with Adani. That is the baselessness of this entire argument. Sagarika Ghosh, for instance, has investments in Mirai Asset Large and Midcap Fund. It has exposure to ACC. Somebody else has invested in SBI Nifty Index Fund, and that is investing in Adani Ports. So if that is the link, tenuous link you're making, that's two people invest in a common fund and therefore they're linked. And this person, before she assumed her role, has divested of her funds. And she has to resign, but Rahul Gandhi, who's not got clean sheet from Supreme Court, Supreme Court has told him you'll face trial, will continue as LOP. ये क्या लगा रखा है तुमने? And you all are causing loss to the poorest of the poor investors, the retail investors, and making money for that Mr. Hindenburg.
Pranesh, can I come in, please?
And you are rejoicing
Lokesh,
that.
Okay, Lokesh, you have the last word. Go ahead.
See, Pranesh, the whole point is every investor knows where the investments are routed to. So this facile argument that she had made an investment before and she was not aware even Mr. Adani had made an investment, when the entire information came that there is this IPE plus Fund 1 which is under investigation, in which the SEBI chairman also has the funds, she should have recused herself and she should have gone for a...
She did not have funds as SEBI chairperson. You're lying. That's a lie. Did she have funds when this was started, this investigation started?
Which year are you referring to, Lokesh? To make things clear, which year are you? Let's have the timeline. Which year are you referring to?
See, when we talk about 2015,
she was not SEBI chairperson then.
By Madhabi Buch and her husband. In 2017,
she was not SEBI chairperson.
She joined as a full-time SEBI member, right? And after this, she continued to hold these funds. The funds were invested.
No, this is a lie. This is an absolute lie.
One minute.
Lie.
I don't think that's factually correct, Tushar. Tushar, is Lokesh accurate on facts here?
Absolutely not. Let me give you the precise timeline. 2015, she invests in those funds. 2017, she becomes a member of the SEBI, liquidates, withdraws those investments completely. 2019, the fund closes. 2022, she becomes the chairperson of SEBI. This is the exact timeline. And mind you, the fund Lokesh Jindal is referring to in 2020 was discontinued in 2019. I'm sorry to say this, but Lokesh Jindal has been only misleading the viewers of Times. So it's very, very unfortunate.
And that fund did not invest in Adani.
Okay, one quick comment.
Let's get that clear.
Lokesh.
See, the whole idea was...
No, आप whole idea मत बताइए. आप whole idea, whole timeline दे दिए. Yeah, Lokesh, don't do this, please. अब timeline आपकी गलत हो गई.
All I am saying is let joint parliamentary committee investigate the entire investment that is made and the entire issue would be crystal clear.
Chaliye, you are persistent. Okay, you are persistent. Timeline. Timeline गलत हो गया. No, sorry.
Just one line. Practically one line. Why don't you take these great findings and go to the court? Supreme Court तो ऐसे हर विषय पे भागते हो. Supreme Court चले जाओ ना इसको लेकर.
Okay, let's move on. नहीं Lokesh हो गया. अब आप timeline देखिए. You called out on that. I thank some of our panelists on debate number 1.